I'm just waiting for people to turn up. Sorry. Just daydreaming while I'm waiting. Okay. Hello. While we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So where are you from? Where do you live? Okay, where do you live? I'm here in Canada. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. So just waiting for everyone to turn up before I get going. So while we're waiting, I'd love to know where you're from. Oklahoma. Hi, Layla. Oklahoma. Layla from Oklahoma. Layla. I don't think I've ever known a Layla. It's a very pretty name. I've heard it. It's a very pretty name. So where are you from? Dallas, Texas. Jay Lane. Okay. Good to see you too. Auckland, New Zealand. I was just there. We were going down to Queenstown to ski. We used to ski. We lived in Australia. I love New Zealand. So friendly. And Jasmine from Rochester. You've got Rochester, but you mean New York? Rochester, New York. Joan from California. Stephanie from Michigan. And Moody Beauty from Orlando, Florida. Christy is your name. Welcome. Okay, we can get going. I've got enough people here. I just turn up whenever I can. So I used to do these lives every single day, and I just don't have the time anymore, but I miss doing it. So I try and turn up whenever I can. So now's perfect for me. Naples, Florida. Hi, Karen. Anyway, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into private coaching if you want to work with me one-on-one. I do have a large wait list for that, but I will get to that eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's on all the platforms. My daughter and I do it together. We also save it on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. We just filmed one yesterday, cracked ourselves up. We did something really funny. Anyway, I think we're about a month or two in advance, so it'll come out, but it's very funny. It's the only time my daughter and I ever work together. We do work in the same company, but it's BratBusters, but we only work together on the podcast. So that's why one of the reasons I love doing it. Philippines, Janelle, welcome. And B from Maryland. Jasmine from New York. Zoe from Washington State. You're right next door. I'm in Vancouver, Canada. Kara from Florida. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. Good job on your podcast. Thanks. I appreciate that. We put a lot into that. We toss a lot of them. We'll sometimes go, yeah, I didn't like that one. Neither did I. So we'll just toss it. We do 2 a week. But yeah, we love doing it. Okay. What to do when a 1.9 years old throws things or hit when having big feelings? So they just throw stuff when they get mad. You just say no, and sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry, just my daughter. Just a sec, I got to answer that. I'll just tell her I'm doing a live. Okay. So you use consistent corrective actions between the ages of 15 to 35 months is what I consider a toddler. So you use consistent corrective actions. That means whenever they do something, you got to be quick and you just say no and you remove the toy that they throw. You remove them from the fun or fun from them. It's got to be right in the moment. It's got to be fast so they can connect it. By the time they're 3, you go to the behavior board. That's when they have the ability to stop and think before they act. But not toddlers. But they still can learn, but it takes a lot longer, and they learn through repetition. It's more of a knee-jerk reaction is the way they learn. They're not really thinking it through. Like a toddler will touch a hot oven 10 times, but they might not touch it the 11th. You see, but they don't really think it through much. They just don't have a lot of that going on yet. Homosassa, Florida? Never heard of that. Interesting. Connecticut. That was Sherry, and then Erica from Connecticut. Okay, this is Jasmine. What's your advice on a 2-year-old that is sad when he doesn't get what he wants? That's okay. He's just mad. That's okay. Allow them to feel sad that they can't have everything go their own way. That's a good thing. Okay, I don't get everything I want. The earlier they learn that they can't have everything they want, the better. It's okay that they're sad that they're not getting their own way all the time. Nothing wrong with that. If they're sad because they feel bad about themselves, like they're just mad because they didn't get their own way, right? That's okay. But you don't want them to feel sad about themselves. Like if you yell at them or say something like this, why would you do that? Why? That's when they feel sad about themselves and they feel like less about themselves. We don't want that. But if they're sad just because they don't have ice cream for dinner, fine. Cheyenne from Ohio. Amanda, Chicago. Listen to your podcast all day today. Oh my gosh. Thanks for your support. It would be torture for me. Although I do, if I'm into something and something's resonating with me, I can listen to it all day. Yeah, I guess I couldn't listen to myself, but I guess if it's, it's really hard to listen to yourself. But yeah, well, I appreciate your support. We have a lot of fun doing the podcast, but we're there. I do most of what we put out is free, obviously. So yeah, the podcast is free. All the lives are free. All the videos are free. And we love putting out all that stuff. Most people are never going to buy our courses or hire us, and that is just fine. We like putting out all this information and know that we're helping people. It's just phenomenal. What a business, and when you're in the caring field and when you're helping people, it's like you just feel so lucky. Eh? I love what I do. Penny from Montana. Kate, I would love to know how you would deal with a little boy who just wants to do the opposite of everything you ask. Just turned 3, driving me batty. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, he'll get past that. Just start using the behavior board. That's the training wheels with all this. The free behavior board on BratBusters.com, which is my website. Just go there and start with the behavior board. He will start to learn. The behavior board is more about them learning that they do have control over their own lives. I never try and tell kids what to do, really. It's like, here's the rules, here's the systems, here's the habits that we've got to do. Here's what we've got to get done in the day. You can either do it or not. If you choose not to do it, then there's a consequence. That's what we're doing here. We want them to feel like they're in control of their own lives. And we start with the behavior board. It's just the start of your leadership. Remember, everyone talks about fixing their kids. It's nothing to do with them. It's you. I don't fix kids. I fix and teach parenting. Okay. Yeah, it's always you. I've worked with hundreds of kids, toddlers, teenagers. I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it them or was it me? And I was never handed easy kids to work with, ever. So it's always you. You lead, they will follow. So work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach here. This Jasmine is from Livonia in Michigan. Livonia. It has to be Livonia. How else would you pronounce that? Erica, my question is, why 3-year-olds so difficult? Where am I going wrong? Okay, 3 years old is the fork in the road. It's almost like on their first birthday, they stop, they blow out the candle, and then they think, do you know what you're doing or not? In other words, am I going to get easier or more difficult? It's almost like that fork in the road. And if you're a leader, they get easier. If you're not, they get worse because they take over. Okay, so that's what's happening. Work on your leadership skills. Start with the behavior board. You're getting a system in place. You're getting organized with all this. It's just teaching you how to do this. You're on there too. If you're not on a behavior board, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator. You have to be on there too. If you yell, your rule is always no yelling. Okay. Someone said, it's very relaxing listening to you and your daughter. Honestly, I miss watching your lives while I clean. Oh, I miss doing the lives. I really do. And I love cleaning. I can teach cleaning. I would love to do videos on cleaning, although I hate filming myself, but I would love doing that. I couldn't set up the camera angles and all that, but I love cleaning. Actually, I never clean a dirty home. I always maintain a clean one. I watch cleaning videos. I gobble them up. My absolute favorite cleaning videos are Jessica Tull. She does the best cleaning. She cleans a dirty home. She lets it get out of control. Then she does deep cleans. I don't. I'm just maintaining clean all the time. So, but yeah, she's a phenomenal cleaner. I won't watch someone who isn't good at cleaning. She's very good at it. Her name's Jessica Tull. Highly recommend her. She doesn't do a lot right now. I don't know what's going on. She doesn't do a lot of cleaning videos. She used to be really regular with them. I'll still go back and watch the old ones. I love them. Well, thanks, Tiffany. I appreciate your support. Okay. Cheyenne, 2-year-old in January, baby due in February. Biggest advice for the change? I haven't got any advice. It's a big transition having a new baby in the house. You cannot explain that to a toddler. They don't get it. Make feeding time their special time too, though. I would have a feeding basket. What I mean by that is when you're feeding the newborn, the baby, have a little basket that only comes out during feeding, and that's your 2-year-old's Just do something. You sit down, nice quiet stuff you can do with them. Just go to the dollar store, get a bunch of stuff. It should be rotating that so it's different all the time. Like you're always throwing different stuff in there. So make that their special time too. But other than that, they're going to go through some stuff usually. Like not only is this baby come into the house, they take up a lot of your time. You're different when you've got a baby. You're tired. You're at the end of your rope half the time. If you have a rough night, you're up all night, and then you got a 2-year-old you got to deal with all day. So it's not just about the baby, it's about you, how you change. Don't try and be perfect. Just deal with it. Like what I mean is it's just temporary. It's a transition time. They'll outgrow it. My son, Jay Lane, my son is almost 3 and replies, but I don't want to when I give a directive. Not sure how to respond. Well, I don't know what you mean by directive. So if you say, let's say you wanted to put his shoes on because you're leaving, I would just say, okay, we got to get our shoes on, then we can go. You see how I say it like that? I don't say you have to put your shoes on. I don't talk like that to kids. I say, okay, as soon as we get our shoes on, we can head out the door. If he says, but I don't want to, I'd say, okay, then I'd put him in the car with his socks and I'd put the shoes in the car after him. And then I might put on the behavior board, put your shoes on within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. So in future, if he doesn't do that, then there's a consequence also. Just get organized with this stuff. That behavior board, it goes through like the first 3 weeks of how you do this stuff. The course goes into a lot more detail. I have courses on this too. But yeah, the behavior board takes you through the first 3 weeks with 3 behavior boards, 1 per week. After that, that's the course. Week 4, everything changes. Then you deal with everything. But it's teaching you how to do this. Like I would never use a behavior board. I don't want kids looking at that. I want them looking right at me. But when you're learning how to do this, it takes some of the pressure off of you. And it's a very big visual reminder of change. Okay. So, yeah. So check it out. It's completely free on my website. I'm curious on your opinion on a 4-year-old being disrespectful and correcting without making them feel attacked. Well, I don't know what you mean by attacked. I teach leadership. So leadership is all about increasing their self-esteem so they feel good about themselves. When they feel good, they do good. But you do correct the bad behavior. You say there's a consequence for bad behavior. You're on that behavior board too, by the way. That's what makes this all work. Check out the pool story. It gives you a clue into how I always deal with kids. If you can just basically Google BratBusters pool story, it'll come up. I've got tons of videos on it. I just can't tell it again. I've told it too many times now. I think I'd self-destruct if I had to tell it again. Anyway, it just epitomizes how I treat children. I don't let anything go. I deal with that. You have to let stuff go when you're learning, but I'm level 10 with this because I invented all this stuff, right? So I don't let anything go, but I deal with bad behavior and then I flip it fast and then I focus on making the kid feel good. I connect with them. I want them to feel good about themselves, okay? And it's okay if they're mad when you hand out a consequence. That's okay. Allow them to process they can't get everything they want. Allow them to process that they're not in charge of everything. They can't get ice cream for dinner. They can't stay up till midnight. You get the idea. Is it normal for a 5-year-old to start offering consequences when he does something wrong? Seemingly not fazed him much. 5 and 3-year-old daughter. Yeah, it depends. If his behavior is improving, that could be a good thing. Like my kids would have said, oh, sorry, I forgot to make the bed this morning. How about I make your bed tomorrow morning? I'd probably say, forget it. It's no big deal. But they would just offer how to make amends if they made a mistake, right? So if it's like that, that's wonderful. But if it's more like, sure, I'll do whatever you want. I don't care anyway. If it's more like that, then you're just not coming up with consequences that are working, or you're not consistent, or you're still yelling. I don't know, but there's other stuff going on there. Remember, we're not fixing kids, we're fixing and teaching parents here, okay? You lead, they will follow. Oftentimes when parents try to convince me in coaching that their kid is really difficult, I'll say to them, how do you think they'd be with me if I moved in for a day or two? How do you think they'd be with me? They've all said, I think they'd be good with you. So they know it's them, but it's hard to do. It goes against the grain to not react. You can't react when they do something bad. You hand out a consequence, but there's no emotions, no anger, no disappointment. If you show anger, frustration, or disappointment with your kids, you're doing it wrong, because that brings them down. Remember, we want to build them up. We want to make them feel good. They can be mad when you hand out a consequence, but you don't want them to feel bad about themselves. There's a difference. Joni in Orlando, Florida. Love your advice. First time mom, 17-month-old. Oh, excellent. Thanks for your support. My granddaughter's 20 months old. They get every week she's doing something different. Every week. They just grow so fast in that toddler stage. Any advice on weaning a 3.5-year-old from the pacifier who's completely emotionally dependent on it? That's a very dramatic statement. I don't want to comment on that statement, but yeah, I would just say you're big now, and I would replace it with something with fun drink cups or something. Give them something else to put in their mouth, right? So here's a new drink cup I bought you because you're too big for the dummies now, or would you call them pacifiers? You're too big for that now. Have them, you bundle them all up and put them in the garbage. You can even drive them somewhere, and so they can see them being thrown where you can't just pick them up again. So yeah, it's just going to be difficult, right? But replace it with something. You don't just take something away from kids. You want to replace it with something. I weaned my son off the dummy. He was 1.5. I wanted to get him off earlier because he had that thing in his gob. Oh, he loved that thing. Couldn't get it away from him. Anyway, but we were doing a big trip overseas. It was going to be a 24-hour trip from Australia we lived in Australia, from Australia to visit Canada. I thought, I'm not taking that dummy away until we get home because that's no way I'm going to take. I wanted that dummy for the plane ride. Helps with their ears not popping too. Anyway, so when we got home, I had jet lag, and it was the day after we arrived back home. Severe jet lag. He had it too. He was 18 months old. And I bagged up all the dummies, and I said, you're a big boy now. And I gave him these straw cups. I said, now here's your straw cup. And I just put water in them, and I took the dummies away. He never asked for a dummy once after that. I couldn't believe my luck. I think it was a lot of luck, but also he was starting to understand when mom says something, it's going to happen. I was a leader. I never say something without following through. So he knew I meant business. And also whenever he'd go like this to look for the dummy, he'd look over at me and I'd look away instantly. There's no way I was going to get eye contact with him. But I gave him something else to do. So he drank so much water. He was peeing all day because he was drinking water all day. And then it sort of leveled out. Okay, sorry, I'm going to scroll ahead because there's so many questions here. And I want to make sure you're still here when I answer. That's on YouTube. I've got questions. Oh, I've got 13 people in YouTube. YouTube's picking up. We don't put a lot into YouTube, and that we just don't. But yeah, YouTube's picking up. So I've got quite a few people coming in now. Usually, like I've got a couple million followers, but they're all on social media. YouTube's a search engine. It's different. So yeah, but it's been picking up lately. Let me see here. My daughter does all that. I don't know anything about this stuff. Okay, I'm reading the YouTube comments here. Okay, what are some examples of consequences for the behavior board? I have a 3-year-old little girl. I think I've got some examples in the free behavior board course, okay? So I've got some in there. Don't get caught up in what the consequences are, okay? Everyone does. They think there's this magic consequence. It doesn't matter. It can just be get a wet rag and wipe down the fridge. Get a wet rag and wipe down a window. It doesn't have to be anything big, okay? But it should be measurable. It should be like if you've got a wet rag, fridges are really good because they're usually like silver. What do they call that? It's just, my mind's just blank right now. Anyway, stainless steel, whatever you call it. Anyway, and you can see if they're all wet. You can't just have them touch something and that's it. So if they have a consequence to clean the fridge, the part the section they can reach, then the whole thing should be damped. You see what I mean? You want them to touch the whole area. Also, another one could be wipe the toothpaste out of the bathroom sink. Then it's very measurable. You can tell when it's been done properly. So in other words, you want them to do it properly. They don't have to do a great job. Another one is pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes or 15 toys within 15 minutes. That's the first consequence. You always start with a positive action. If they refuse to do the first consequence, which is just a good deed, so don't get caught up in what it is. It's just a good deed, right? If they won't do that, then you resort to the negative deprivation. You take something away. It's usually media, which means screens. If not, it could be no treat after dinner. I don't like to use food, but you got to do what you got to do, right? If they normally get ice cream after dinner, no ice cream after dinner. It could be that. You take something away that you do every day that they would miss. That's the second consequence. Don't hop to that one. A lot of parents want to hop to that one. Sometimes we do, but you usually start with the first one. You want to teach them how to do good. So a lot of parents just want to stop the bad behavior. Yeah, that's okay. But you also want to teach them how to be good. So that's why we replace the bad action with a good action, a positive action, right? And there's no anger in any of this, no lecturing. No, why would you do that? You know better. That's bullying. That's horrible. I don't talk like that. That's shaming and blaming. I don't do that. I say, oh, okay, so you broke a rule. Here's your consequence. And you got 15 minutes to do it. And that starts now. Then I'm just waiting. I don't keep talking about it. I just let them do it or not. Oh, let me see. So you chose not to do that consequence. So 24-hour media blackout starts now. And then I'll go, do you understand? That's how I talk. It's that calm. I don't like, I hate you. I hate you. Okay, whatever. I'm going to go do the dishes now. Don't get pulled into this stuff. Parents are so busy reacting. When I'm disciplining, I don't react. I act. I'm not reacting. I'm acting. They can say or do whatever they want. I could care less. I'm following through with my leadership, right? Okay, good. This is Jacob on YouTube. I just found your channel. Okay. I'm mother of 3 children, 10, 7, 3. I started acting like a leader and stopped pleasing them, and I noticed good changes. Children don't want you to try and please them all the time. That's that leader that's like, oh, what do you want to wear? This or that or this or that, all that kind of stuff. They really don't want that. They want someone who takes charge. Believe it or not, they want a leader. And you can give them choices with play, but stuff that has to be done, like what time do you want to go to bed? What do you, or you don't like the teacher? We'll change classrooms. You're always trying to please them. You're trying to avoid the scene, basically. The scenes are their lessons. The scenes are them processing, not getting their own way. Scenes are not a bad thing. If I think a kid's going to have a scene with me, I'm like, bring it on. That's your lesson, right? I don't interfere in that. I could care less if they want to have a scene. It usually means I've just won. Okay, that's what it means. If they're upset and mad that they didn't get their own way, usually means I've actually won that round, and that's okay. Do I just go cold turkey or ease into the new style? I'm new here. Wow, good question. No one's ever asked me that before. Not that I remember anyway. Okay, the behavior board is 1 battle per week. It's 1 rule per week. You're on there too, by the way. The behavior board's completely free on BratBusters.com. It's all linked somewhere. And you just start there. Now, everything else that you were doing everything else the kid's doing that you want to correct, just do whatever you were doing before. The new change is only focused on that behavior board. Do not apply those consequences to anything else. It muddies the water and it messes it up. Okay? Because you're teaching yourself how to do this. It's not about the kids. You get this right. They will follow, but it's teaching you. So then the second week, you have 2 behavior boards. The third week, you've got 3 behavior boards or 3 battles, right? You're on there too. You got rules and consequences. You start there. And then by week 4, you have to buy the course to get into what happens after the behavior boards. That's when you deal with everything. Okay, but you're learning how to do this before you go in. Like if I went into your home, I would deal with everything in day 1, guaranteed. But I'm level, and I wouldn't use a behavior board, but I'm level 10 with what I teach because I invented all this stuff. So yeah, I would deal with everything and I'd get respect very quickly because I also am fun. I know how to have fun with kids. Your superpower is your connection with your kids. If you're not really connected and having fun with them, fun is their love language. If you're not meeting those needs, none of this works. Okay. Oh, thanks, Karen. I appreciate that. I do have to move over to Instagram now, but I'll be on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm doing a live. Check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. Sorry, I do have a very large wait list right now for that, but I will get to it eventually. But there's lots of free stuff and the courses out there in the meantime. Or you can listen to our podcast. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast together. She's in charge of all the marketing, all the social media, and she organizes the podcast. And that's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and it's also saved on YouTube if you want to watch us. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm hopping over to Instagram. Happy parenting. There. Okay. Oh, hi, Tabitha. Oh, you weren't here last night, I don't think. I think I did one last night. Did I? I don't know. No, I did one Saturday night. Do you find you have a busier time of year like summer? No, summer used to be a quieter time because like with coaching, parents go away. But I'll be honest, I'm just booked up all the time now, all year. So yeah, no, I don't. It's just consistently busy all year now. But summer used to be more quiet for sure. And then September got crazier. Kids would go back to school and often the poop would hit the fan. Teachers were calling home, stuff like that. So, okay. So welcome to my live. I'm on Instagram now and I'm on YouTube the whole time whenever I'm filming live. And anyway, check out my website, BratBusters.com, and you can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have 2 boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. I do have a big wait list for that, but if you have patience, I'll get to you eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and you can watch it on YouTube if you want. We post it on there also. We do 2 a week. And my daughter and I work together. It's the only time we're actually together. We have our own, we're our own bosses in this business. But when we do she's the boss with everything, to be honest. But with a podcast, we actually work together. So it's the only time we're ever together when we work. If we try and do anything technical, I get sent to the corner because she gets so mad at me. I'm button happy. So she's trying to show me something with a website or I don't touch the website. I'm not allowed to. But yeah, if it's anything technical, Mom, just go stand over there. Anyway, it's wonderful working with your kids, Okay, so thanks for joining me. I'm just going to look over your questions here. Someone said, can you punish later on? Okay, that's a good question. You can't with toddlers, but you can with 3 and above. With toddlers, it has to be right in the moment. 15 to 35 months is what I label a toddler. It has to be right in the moment. But 3 and above, you can say, you have to address the bad behavior in the moment, unless it's at school. I'll get to that in a minute. But you address it and say, okay, well, that was bad. You shouldn't have done that. It's okay to say that was bad. Don't say you're bad, but what they did was bad. They're not politically correct, but anyway. So say, okay, that was bad. I'll tell you what, we'll talk about it when we get home. So you're delaying it, but you are addressing it in the moment, but you're delaying the punishment, right? Now, if it's something that happened at school, you get the teacher to report to you or whatever. So you want to know if something's happened. You say, and let the teacher do whatever they do. That's different, okay? So then you say, okay, so I heard that you were disrespectful towards the teacher today, so here's your consequence, okay? But use the behavior board, and you can put that, listen to the teacher. You can't put that down for yourself, not to the parent, but you can put that down. They have to listen at school. It's just different. Don't question me on that. It's just different. You can't say listen to me, but you can say listen to the teacher. It's just different. One's business, one's personal. Parenting is personal. Teaching is business. Okay, tried ignoring tantrums for the past year, still struggling. Help, he's 3.5. There's other stuff going on. I just don't know what it is. If you're effectively ignoring a tantrum the way I say you do it, and then you connect right away afterward, it should work. I've never heard of it actually not working, unless there's other stuff going on that's just tanking it. You know what I mean? Do you play with him enough? Are you consistent? Do you follow through with do you mean what you say and say what you mean? Do you ever yell? Do you ever look mad, frustrated, or disappointed? You can't do any of that stuff or else it might not work, right? My daughter runs across the road. Can I say next day we're driving because you ran? No, I'd get a leash. I love leashes to train them for that. That's life and death stuff, okay? So yeah, I would get a leash, put a harness on her and say, if you're going to run, you're going to get clipped in and be ready to clip her in fast so she can't run. It's keeping them alive, right? So yeah, just and she'll hate it. So do that. If it goes somewhere where you don't care if you arrive, because she's going to drop and have a fit probably when you put her on that leash. And you have to leave it on for the rest of that outing. It's like the thing, you can stay with me or you can run, or you can try and run and then you get a leash. It's your choice. Remember, it's all up to them. You're not doing anything to them. They're doing it to themselves. Remember, if you show any anger, disappointment, or frustration, you're not doing it right. You got to be calm. And I talk very low and slow. I'd say, oh, okay, so you run. I'm going to clip you in now. Here you go. Very quiet. If they argue, I hate you, I hate you. So I don't answer that. I don't react to that stuff. I stay on the high road and wait till they join me. I don't join them on the low road. When they're screaming and yelling and whatever, I don't join them there. I stay calm and I wait for them to join me. You can't argue with a calm, loving person forever. Eventually they'll learn and they'll give in and they'll stop doing that stuff. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer. 3-year-old starts crying when 10-month-old cries. How to address this? I don't know. Well, why is the 10-month-old crying? Like, and why is the 3-year-old crying because the 10-month-old cries? Are they doing it because you run to the 10-month-old and they want the attention, or are they doing it because they're upset? Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're just crying to get the same attention that the baby does. I don't know. Most of these things are, okay, here we go. This is Jacob Smith. I judge people when I see them leashing their children. I think must suck to be that kid being treated like a dog. Yeah, it's a lot better than being flattened by a bus, though, right? It's just about keeping them alive. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. And because if I'm just answering questions, it's all around discipline. And I'm not about discipline. I do it, but it's not what I'm all about. I'm about connecting with kids. Fun is their love language. I'm really good at connecting with kids. That's my strength. I'm really good at making kids feel good about themselves. That's leadership. When they feel good, they do good. Okay. Everyone gets caught up in the discipline, but that's not the focus here. It's got to be done, but it's not what where I put my energy is on the good kid. I deal with bad behavior, but I don't discuss it. I don't dwell on it. I don't talk about it at all. I just deal with it. Everyone wants to lecture their kids on the bad behavior. Huge mistake. That's the shaming and blaming. Drags them down. Huge mistake. Okay. Because I want them to understand. They already understand. They already get it. Okay. Besides, understanding has nothing to do with what you do. What I mean by that is, let's say you know you shouldn't speed, but if you thought you'd never get a ticket, you'd probably speed a lot, right? It's not the understanding, it's the ramifications or the consequences that keep us in line, even as adults. Like, I don't want to pay my taxes on time, for sure. I don't even want to pay them. But if I don't, I'm going to be fined or go to jail. You see, it keeps us all in line. The sooner your kids learn this, the better. The more prepared they are for life, right? No one wants to pay mortgage or rent, but you do it because if you don't, you lose your home. You see? So you want to teach that to your kids. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. I call it the discovery stage. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world, not yours. You don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They just start to look at you differently. I know even my granddaughter, she's talking better now, but when she was like, a lot younger, she's 20 months old. When she was a few months younger, she was just going, ga, ga, ga. So I would go, ga, I wouldn't correct her. I would just go, ga, ga, ga. And they just stop and look at you because all of a sudden you're relatable, you see? So enter their world. Number 4 is similar. Discipline them in their world also. Their world, toddlers, this is 16 to 35 months. Their world is not words. Their world is actions. So you use consistent corrective actions when you are disciplining them. You don't use words. You just say one word, no, and then you take action. You remove them from the fun or remove fun from them. If you want to know more, you can check out my free behavior board. It has a toddler section in that course. It's free. It's a mini course. Okay, so, and stop with the mini therapy sessions discussing everything with them. Discussing all the big feelings and big emotions. That is absolute crap. I don't know whoever invented that, but they got one screw loose. That is not for the toddler. That's for you. I know it's trendy to do that, but it's garbage. Okay, get rid of it. They're about actions. They're not about these mini therapy sessions. Plus, then you're shaming and blaming. It's just ridiculous. Okay, number 5, stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've only been in the world for a couple of years, and the first year, they were a potato laying on a mattress. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed. Cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains, okay? So don't try and figure them out. Just go with it. Whenever I'm hired by parents who have toddlers, we don't have a plan. I say, you tell me what they're doing, and I'll tell you what to say and what to do and how to do it. So it's reacting to what they come out with. They're all different. They'll come out with different stuff, right? Also, there's 4 things that kids are born to do or they're never going to do. No, we just want to look for it to make sure. Here they are. Okay, sometimes I forget one. The one I forget is usually climbing. I don't know why. Anyway, one is climbing, one is running, one is tantrums, and one is aggressiveness. They're either born to try those things. It's your job to train them out of them. It's not your fault they do that when they start doing it. They're just born to do that, okay? Those are the 4 things. They're either born to do or they're never going to do them. My son had tantrums. He didn't have a lot of them, but he had tantrums, but that was it. So I was cute. I was doing a live a couple of years ago, and someone said, my kid has all 7. There's only 4. I thought that was really cute. But yeah, it's not your fault. Why did I write that down? I wrote something down. Oh, interesting. Okay, I wrote something down that some parent had said, but I don't even understand what it means. I wrote it for myself. Someone said something funny about that, and I don't even know what I wrote. Anyway, yeah. So it's your job to train them out of this stuff. Eventually, it takes time with toddlers. They learn through repetition and actions, not words. I see this all the time. Use your words. You know. Oh my God. Whoever invented that, you know that saying when they get on their level and get eye level and say, use your words. That is the most patronizing, ignorant thing to say to a 2-year-old or any kid, really. They are using their words. What a patronizing. Could you imagine if your spouse said that to you? Use your words. What a nasty thing to say to someone. They are using their words. Their actions are kicking, screaming. That is their words. Respect that. Deal with it. Don't expect them to find their inner adult. Geez, I'd like to get my hands on the person who invented that garbage. I hate this stuff because it sounds so lovely. That's why it becomes popular. It's just garbage. Drives me nuts. Okay, shut up, Lisa. Okay. I don't have a filter. Sorry about that. Dads are built to be more firm. What do we think about this? Can you talk? I'm not going to talk about that. There's lots of moms who are the tough one and dads who are the tough one, or moms who are the easy one and dads. Yeah, I wouldn't generalize about that. The one thing I would say with dads, though, is dads are fixers. Dads, and I understand men because I raised one and I've been working with them for years, and I see them at their most vulnerable too. So I see a lot when I'm coaching. And so, yeah, they're fixers. If they can't fix their kids, they get frustrated. If they can't fix their family, they get frustrated. So that's different. And they tend to get angry about it and pull away. Women do the opposite. They get into the mess and they cry about it. Yeah, we're just built differently. It's you can't always generalize, but I do see that quite consistently. Men are fixers. Usually when I say that, you'll see the man go like this. Yeah, we're fixers. Plus they want to feel appreciated. So you get the best out of them when they feel appreciated. And when you say something like, we feel so safe when we're with you. Men love that kind of stuff. So you want to make the dads feel good too. And the moms feel good too also. But yeah. It's cute whenever I'm working with a couple and they're struggling in their marriage sometimes too, right? Because kids can really break you apart. So I'll say stuff like that and the dad will be like, yes, yes, I want to be appreciated. I want to, so that's cute. So men aren't as likely to express their feelings, but I often already know what's going on. So, and then they go, yes, yes. It's really cute. I love my job. That's my favorite thing in my business is coaching. Love it. Okay. I was just going to mention a couple other things because like I said, I don't just want to talk about discipline, which is what all the questions are about. It's really important for you to understand kids. Kids, their love language is fun. Their love language is not praise. It's not you discussing everything. It's just not. They want to have fun. And the thing is, when you're a calm leader and you're also accountable, they will come to you with everything. If they have a problem, they're going to come to you. They're going to tell you. You're going to know it anyways. If I thought something was bugging a kid, I would say, come on, you can tell me what's going on, buddy, or what, you can tell me. And you always listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. They don't want to be lectured. They don't even always want your advice. They just want to feel heard. Okay, they want to feel understood. They want to feel like you value them enough to listen to their problems. Discipline's different. Disciplining is when you know they're mad because they're not getting their own way, you don't discuss that. I don't discuss that. We already know what's going on. They want ice cream for dinner and you said no, they're mad. I don't discuss that. Those fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums, they are more of a loss of emotional control and not getting their own way. They're not based on big feelings and big emotions. Okay? It's just not. It's just anger. Let them sort that out themselves. This was really cute. I'm just going to mention something funny here. I hardly ever look at this stuff. I used to more. It's just stuff that I like to bring up in lives. This was really cute. A 9-year-old was told the parents that I always have a spiel that I tell the parents when I'm coaching, that you tell the kids what's going on. So then when he heard that they'd hired a parenting coach, he was 9 years old, and he said, good, because you sure need it. So I thought that was really funny. Kids are great. Okay, I won't go on about that. I'll answer some questions now. Sorry. I was just going on some really funny stuff in there. Okay. You need to put the ages in there because different answers for different ages. 3-year-old picks up baby talk from preschool friend. Tried ignoring, doesn't help. Just let it go. They'll get bored with it. Yeah, I would just ignore it and they'll get bored with it. As soon as they talk normally, then I would answer them. But yeah, it's a stage. They'll get bored. South Korea, hello. I can't pronounce your name, sorry. One YouTuber introduced you in her YouTube. Oh, who was that? I'm curious. My daughter would like to know that. She does all that stuff. Yeah, YouTube's picking up a bit. I don't know why. We don't really do much with YouTube. I mean, we do, but we don't really understand it. It's a search engine. It's different. But yeah, it's picking up a bit, evidently. I just looked at it the other day. But, yeah, I'd like to know who that was. I'm curious. I'd like to thank them if they, or my daughter would. If you do get a DM from me, it'll be my daughter, by the way. I don't have time to look at any of that stuff. She does all the social media. She answers all the emails. Unless it's a client, then I do that stuff. Okay, so I'm curious now. But yeah, my daughter does all the. We don't get a chance to look at everything, but we do our best here. I started on, I think it was 2.5 or 3 years ago. I started on TikTok. I was just doing my thing for, 15 years or whatever. And then I went on TikTok. Just my daughter kept saying, Mom, go, because I wasn't really on social media. It was more referrals and doctors and teachers that would recommend me. And then I went on TikTok and I blew up overnight. It was unbelievable. Like overnight. It was just unbelievable. So I think I've been talking like this for 20 years or, teaching this for 20 years now. And people really weren't picking it up. There was a lot of backlash because, the pleaser parent style had a hold on parents. And then I think the timing was just right. It doesn't work. It's useless. And it's really frustrating for me to see that. When I first saw that coming, it came in with the participation awards. That's when it first came in. It's the first time I heard of it. I thought participation awards for doing nothing. Stupidest thing in the world. Anyway. And and I think we talked about it. And I thought, why did it pick up so hard and fast? In just a couple of years, I've got like a couple million followers now. And it's because the timing. We think it's timing. People realize that pleaser parent style wasn't working. And I used to say years ago, I said, you're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. There's not a lot of fortitude and strength and confidence. I think there's not as much as there should be with young people. I think they should have a lot of high self-esteem, confidence, be problem solvers, and not be entitled at all. You go out there and you work for what you get. Don't expect anyone to like you or do anything for you. I used to tell my kids, when you come home, you are treasured. We just think you're the most special people in the whole world. Don't expect that from anybody else. And you got to earn it with everybody. You'll have unconditional love from us for the rest of our lives anyway. But I said, don't expect that from anyone else. The pleasers do the opposite. They sort of set their kids up to think they're more special. And it's just, you're not doing them any favor. It was really frustrating for me to see that for so many years. It's going out of style now. I can see it. And it's good. It sounds so lovely though, discussing all the big feelings. And it sounds lovely, but it's useless. It's just it doesn't work. So I'm glad to see things are shifting. And I hope there's a whole bunch of other people, I can't reach everybody. I'm hoping there's a whole bunch of other people doing the same thing too, is teaching this leadership. You want to make kids feel good. You also want to make yourself accountable. Leaders are accountable. Believe me, if I messed up, my kids would point that out pronto and I'd get a consequence. It's a two-way street, right? Then you don't get any rebellion in the teen years when you're a leader. They can't rebel against a leader. It just doesn't happen. My son said he was 15 and he said to me, you've been a really difficult mom. I was shocked. I said, I thought I was great. And then he says, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. Wow. He just handed me that one. Wow. You can't rebel against a leader because I'm too reasonable and easy to talk to, right? That's what you want. You want your kids to tell you everything. You want to be a safe place to land. You want them to feel empowered and confident, right? You don't want them to expect things to come their way. You want them to be problem solvers, hard workers, right? Confident. It's enough of that. Okay, questions here. 2.5-year-old ignores me. It's like I speak to her and she just stares straight at me. Also, any advice on potty training? Well, I don't have any advice on potty training. It's a whole system. You'd have to buy one of my courses. Okay, but because I put potty training in both my courses. Some BratBusters.com if you're interested. Anyway, she ignores you. I don't know what's going on there. Like, does she only ignore you when it's stuff she doesn't want to hear? Then just follow through and make it happen. Like if you say, okay, we got to go out now, we got to go get our shoes on and go out. If she just ignores you, pick her up and put her in the car anyway. Follow up with what you've just said is going to happen. Follow it up with action. So I don't know what you mean by it. She probably doesn't ignore you if you say, do you want ice cream, right? It's only when she's got selective hearing. Which says she doesn't respect you. You work on your leadership skills. They don't ignore a leader. They just don't. A leader is like a mentor. A leader, I call myself like a calm leader, parents. So it's like you're only calm during the storms, like when they're acting out, but then you're crazy the rest of the time. You want to be fun. You want to have joy in the household. You want to have laughter. When I was a kid, I literally can still remember this. It was one of my earliest memories. I'd go to a friend's house and I'd come home and I'd say, everyone was mad. And mom couldn't figure out what I was talking. It would happen every time I'd go to someone else's house. They were all mad. They just weren't laughing all the time like we were. I was raised in a very joyous household. My mother was very funny. My dad was it was just a cheery, happy household. But they weren't mad. They just weren't laughing. They were, so joy is something that it's just, their love language is fun. Their love language is joy, right? So try and be positive around your kids. I know it's a big ask if doesn't come naturally, but think about it. If they feel good, they do good. If they feel bad, they do bad. I wanted my kids, we had a really happy household, a lot of joy, a lot of laughter. And it makes them feel good. When they feel good, they do good, right? Oh, how to not feel bad as a parent that your child has boundaries and rules, but the cousins in the same room don't. Wouldn't bother me at all. That happened with my kids all the time. We'd have friends over, they'd go over to friends' houses and the kids would be doing stuff, jumping on couches and that. My kids just didn't do it. They just didn't bother them at all. They just didn't do it. So they would just look over at me like, whoa. When they'd see other kids doing stuff that they weren't allowed to do, they'd just go, yeah, okay. Didn't bother them at all. They were happy kids, Leaders usually have happy kids. So if they're happy, they don't care what other kids are doing. It's okay. You said you feel like it's confusing. There are only two. When you're a really calm leader and you're fun, they just follow you. They're just drawn to your energy. I can't go on too much about that because there are only two. It might take a little bit more time for them to really get it. Once you're a leader, they're under your umbrella and they're happy when they're there. They're happy under your umbrella. It's not, you don't want obedient soldiers. That's ridiculous. You want kids with high self-esteem, confidence. They like themselves. They're happy under your leadership umbrella. So, yeah. Okay. Madhuri. I'm from India. I have 11-year-old son. He hates the behavior board. He thinks I am taking out the revenge with these. Well, you're on there too. How can he take that personally if you're on there too? What am I missing? How will I make him understand? Well, I think he understands it. He just doesn't like it. So, but if you're on there, that's why you have to be on that behavior board too. Make it something that would really benefit him. Your rule should benefit him and your consequences should benefit him. So that's usually what gets them on board with the board, right? Because you're on it. So I think he understands it. He just doesn't like it. Oh, that link didn't work. Links don't work in comments. So sorry, I'm just reading on YouTube here. A 2-year-old wants to control everything, says no talk when we are talking, move when the car is stopped. At 2 years old, that sounds to me like you're reacting because they don't usually keep saying that. So just ignore it. Completely ignore it. I also sent him a DM on Facebook. Oh, okay. Okay, I am on it too. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, I don't know Maduri. I don't know what's going on there. Like I said, if you're on there and if it benefits him, how can he argue it? I just don't think he likes it. Okay, sorry, I have to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters over there too. Anyway, check out my website, BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board, my courses. I have one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching. I'm sorry I have a really large wait list, but I will get to it eventually. And then the podcast is called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms. It's also on YouTube if you want to watch us do it. My daughter and I work together. We do the podcast. It's the only time we ever are together when we're working. And we work in the same in BratBusters, but she does her own thing. She's her own boss in BratBusters, and I'm my own. But well, she tells me what to do usually. She does all the marketing and planning. But yeah, it's the only time we get to work together. So I love doing the podcast. Anyway, you can check that out if you're interested. If not, you can follow me over to TikTok if you want to do that. Happy parenting. Sorry, YouTube. I'm just transferring over now. It's a lot of buttons to push. There we go. Jeez, exhausted. Put the timer on. Okay. You always say take the fun away or take them away from the fun. What if there is no fun at that time, like at the table? Yeah, what you could do is you could go and you could literally go and take one of their toys and then you could put it away and put it up there. Say, nope, that wasn't very good. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this toy away for the rest of the day and put it up where they can see it but can't touch it. I was talking to a client the other day and I got a million different ideas, right? But it's all along the same lines. But anyway, so they had this one particular problem and we go through specific like situations, right? So I said, well, you can do this or that, because I've always got lots of different ideas. And but it's all along the same lines. And then they said to me, well, which one should I do? And I said, well, it was just really interesting because I understand that when I'm working with you, or even just now, you want to know exactly what to do. But I also want you to sort of think creatively too, like it's with consequences. So a consequence can be just a good deed. Don't get too caught up in what the consequence is. You can get more creative with it. You can say, okay, clean the fridge, or it could be something easy like writing out 10 lines of something that from school, but don't make them write out, I will be good. Don't do that. But just say, look, I'd like you to write out, you're struggling with this particular English sentence or something. I'd like you to write that out 10 times. You can do that as a consequence. It can be help me wash my car. It can be pick up 10 toys within 10 minutes. Just think on your feet. There's lots of things. It's just a good deed. It's just the gesture more than anything. But they have to put some effort into it. Okay. So yeah, I can't always tell you when coaching I can, but I mean, you have to sort of think, what would be a good deed for them right now? Like, one of them was, what was it recently? They were out somewhere. And usually I say, do the consequence with 3 and above, do it when you get home. But it was something they were out. What was it? Oh, the consequence was that they were going to go to the park or something. And the parents got to go down the slide first. So that was the consequence. This kid was dying to do this slide. There was some new slide at this new park. So the consequence was, well, you hit your little brother. So now your little brother and your mom and dad are all going to go down the slide first. You have to wait for us and we're going to go first. Just something little. Doesn't have to be anything wow, just a gesture. Not showing my upset and moving on has helped so much. Good for you. This is Kaya. Good for you. If you look like you're upset and flustered, they're going to feed off of that. They're like sharks going after bait. I mean, they're going to feed off of that. You just want to look calm, talk slow, and you don't have to look like you know exactly what you're doing. You can say, now let me think. Let me think here. What am I going to do? You can talk like that. Like, I love doing that, actually. If like, let's say they do something naughty and you're out somewhere, say, okay, so I'll tell you what, we're going to discuss that. You did that naughty thing. So we'll discuss it when we get home. So then when you get home, you say, yeah, I gave that some thought. And here's what I was thinking. When you talk like that, they are listening. But if you just said, here's what you're going to do, you did that, see that authority tone? I don't talk like that at all. I just say, yeah, okay, you chose to do that. So I was thinking about it, and here's what I decided we're going to do. They just naturally are going to listen. Doesn't mean they're going to be happy about doing it. They might not even do it, but you've got their attention with that tone of voice. And you see, it's all energy. It's your energy. It's your narrative. You control that. And I know it's hard to do when you're first doing it. You're so busy. You've been a reactor. I don't. I'm an actor. I act. I don't react. When they're doing something naughty, when I'm disciplining, I act. I don't react. See? I just say what's going to happen, no matter what they say. I hate you. You're awful. I say, okay, whatever. I just follow through. I'm acting. I got a plan. I stay on the high road. I let them join me. I never join them on the low road. Okay, if they're all upset, they can do it. Their head can be spinning. They can be all upset. That's on them. That's their business. None of my business. Let them process the fact that they're going to get a consequence. Let them process the fact that they're not getting ice cream for dinner. Let them process that you're taking charge of the things that are important. They need to know that, and let them process that all by themselves. Don't try and talk them off the cliff. Let them have that fit, scene, meltdown, tantrum. That is their lesson. That's them processing. Allow that. If you interfere in that, all of a sudden it's your problem. It's not theirs anymore. They're not going to process it the same way. They just won. Yeah, as soon as you interrupt that pattern of them processing that, it's not good. Don't do it. You'll thank me later, not now. We're investing in tomorrow, not now, not today. What's your opinion on the book? Oh, I've never read a book on parenting or kids, so I wouldn't have a clue. Plus, I only really comment on what I do, aside from the mini therapy session stuff, which drives me freaking insane, discussing all the big feelings and big problems and yeah. Someone said, you did not. Is that for me? I don't know. Okay. I don't get a lot of backlash anymore. I used to when I first came on here, and anyone who knows me knows I love that stuff. Because I'm shaking things up. I'm making a difference. That's why I love it so much. Plus, I'm old. I'm 65. So that stuff doesn't bother me. But yeah, it means I'm shaking things up, which is my goal. You've helped me through controlling reactions, though. Thank you. I love saying takeaway fun. Yeah. That is your personal battle. Parents often ask me, how do I control my own emotions? And I say, that's your battle, because I can't help you. Only you can help you with that. You have to fake it till you make it. If you feel yourself getting mad, frustrated, disappointed in your kids, just don't show it. You can't. I mean, you're good enough for a while. It's a natural reaction. That's the thing, is we're going against the grain here. It's natural to look disappointed in your kids when they do something naughty, but you can't show it. It's natural to do that, but you got to fight that urge. Okay? Poker face. Yeah. What did you say there? Got to have the poker face. Yeah. I never used that term. I should, because I grew up playing poker and that with my family. But yeah, poker face. Disappointed? Why not? It drags them down. I'm so disappointed in you. You're hitting their self-esteem. Just say, you can say, oh, geez, that was kind of stupid. Do you want to hear what I did the other day? Like, it's okay to make mistakes, but you got to be accountable for them. You see, if you're disappointed, you're hitting them in their self-esteem. How would you feel if your spouse looked disappointed, said, I'm really disappointed in you? You see? It drags you down. It really does. So yeah, just say, whoops, oh boy, that. Now, I've worked with lots of troubled teens. I mean, really vile behavior. And I was very disappointed in them sometimes, but I never showed it. Never. if I did, they would have made them worse. It makes them worse. It brings out the worst in people. It doesn't bring out the best. It brings out the worst. Just say, I would say, well, that was stupid. Oh, well, let's figure this out. So I say it like it is. Yeah, that was stupid. But, we all make mistakes, right? Let's fix it. I'm proactive. I'm not one to dwell on what's been done wrong. I'm more like, how are we going to fix it, right? Yeah, well, that was stupid. What are you going to do about it now? Let's figure this out, right? That's more my approach. And I do dumb stuff too. And I make amends too. I fix stuff too myself, right? Okay. At what point do consequences not, this is Sarah on YouTube. At what point do consequences not work? Is there a time where you would not recommend consequences? My children find them fun. Well, you're not finding, if they find them fun, usually it's younger kids. If they find them fun, just come up with stuff they don't like. Most kids do not like a wet rag and cleaning out the tracks for a sliding door or the shower door tracks or cleaning out toothpaste in the sink. There's usually something they don't like, usually. Or it could be just cleaning up their toys, even getting a wet rag and they have to clean their toys. There's usually certain things they don't like to do. So, and also you said, is there a point when consequences don't work? It's usually that you haven't, and I don't know what you mean by work, because there's always two consequences for the kids. The first one's a positive action. If they won't do that, then there's a negative deprivation. So you can always make that work, right? You can always take something away. So I'm not entirely sure there. Can you start giving consequences at 2? Between 16 to 35 months, they're called toddlers in the way I frame it. And that's when I use consistent corrective actions. It has to be right in the moment, and you don't get them to do anything, but you take something away from them that they were playing with, or you remove them from the fun or remove fun from them, right? It's got to be fast, right in the moment. And then when they turn 3, that's when you start the behavior board, and that's when there's consequences. Do you have an autism curriculum? No, I deal with autism and other challenges in coaching, but there's no generalizing with autism in my work. It's all like each kid's so different, and especially with autism too, because I don't need to know a lot of history with kids. Usually it doesn't help me, because that's a therapist does that. A therapist dwells on the past, a coach dwells on the future. So I need a little bit of information, but with autism, I need quite a bit. Like what's worked in the past and what hasn't, because I need to know some framework around that, and then we can move forward. But yeah, it's only in coaching I discuss autism. When you're trying to implement rules, but the rest of the family thinks it's a bit of a joke. Yeah, that's a tricky one. You mean the rest of the family or just your spouse? I don't quite know what you mean by that. But here's what I would say is, if you're trying to do the right thing and you think that this is the right thing and follow through, just say, can you just give me 3? Can we cut a deal here? Just give me 3 weeks with this and don't undermine me. This with a spouse, right? A partner. Don't undermine me. And yeah. But what's you got to be on there too. It's got to be for everybody. It's got to be a benefit for the kids. With teenagers, they're my favorite age, by the way, teenagers. With teenagers, you bring them in on this more. And I'll read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. And you're all going to have teenagers one day, so it's going to apply to all of you one day. Okay, number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. And even then, I don't really give it. I just sort of talk things through. And they already know what your advice is going to be anyway by that age. Number 2, you negotiate as much as possible with teenagers. Like you could say to them, look, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Back and forth reciprocity, right? Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? Like, it's okay to let stuff go. It's okay that they make mistakes just like you do. That's okay. Okay, number 4 is don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. When do you discuss the bad times with teenagers? Never. What's the point? What's the point? If parents want to do it, it's a source of revenge. It feels good to want to discuss it, right? It's revenge. Your only revenge, if you're going through it with your teenagers and they're putting you through the mill, your revenge is when they grow up and they have their own teenagers and they complain to you about teenagers. Then you say, just like you did. So that's your revenge, is when they're suffering with their own teenagers. You don't discuss the bad times. Number 5, with teenagers, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. You can't be both with a teenager. They will die on every hill. Even though they know they're wrong, they'll still argue. Okay. If they're arguing with a teenager, just say, oh, we'll just talk about it later. Don't worry about it. Don't say we'll talk about it when you've calmed down. That's an accelerator. It's rude. How would you feel if your spouse said that? We'll talk about it when you've calmed down. It's patronizing. It's nasty. Don't say that. Just say, oh, let's just talk about it later. Or let's just let it go. It's okay. See, be a right fighter or you can be happy. Well, you're talking about, I can't even say the word here on TikTok, but if it's something where someone is being physically mean to someone else, that would be a police matter. It's not my lane. It's a police matter. Oh, that's really cute. You're very welcome, Tabitha. Tabitha's a regular on here. I appreciate that. Okay. Have you worked with special needs kids? Lots. My bonus son, 5 years, interrupts conversation, is impatient. He also hits. How can I work through this? If he's special needs, that would be coaching. I would need history. I need to know what his special needs are. So I can't answer that on here. That would be coaching. I do have a really large wait list for coaching. I'll be honest, we might have to shut it down for a while. I'm not sure what to do here. But anyway, we'll get to it eventually. But a lot of those people do end up just buying the courses. So it's not like I have to coach all those people. So a lot of them will drop out of the intake form. So I don't know. But if you want to work with me, that's the only option. Is if you want special needs advice, that would be coaching. And it's not cheap. I mean, it's expensive. And, that's why I've got the courses. And most of what we put out there is free. So, and the only place that I answer questions is here, because I'm just busy, right? Is here, or doing a live, or on the podcast. And my daughter collects all that. It's the only 2 places I answer questions, other than coaching, obviously. We keep saying, I don't need to coach. I just love doing it. So, but yeah, I don't know if I could ever give it up. I love it. Someone mentioned ODD. This is what doctors have told me. ODD was just invented to make moms feel better. ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, is not a real medical diagnosis. And it just means that you're not a leader. You got to work on yourself. It's not the kids. As soon as you label a kid like that, you're blaming them for their behavior. Blame yourself. Always take the blame. When I was working with kids and they weren't even mine, and I only had them an hour a week, if that, if they acted out under my care, I always did this. What am I missing here? What am I missing? I never blame the kids. A leader looks to themselves. So don't label the kids with ODD. It's not a medical diagnosis. Doctors have told me that. It's just taking the blame off the mom, which is, they made it that's what they said. They made it to make moms feel better. But what you're doing is then you're taking the responsibility off the mom too, right? So yeah, it's bad. I don't like that. So, and maybe it's a medical diagnosis. Just the doctors I've asked have said it isn't. It's oppositional defiant disorder. Just means you got a feisty kid and you're not a leader. That's what that means. Work on yourself. Work on your leadership. Leaders always take the responsibility. Your kids are just victims of you, really. They're just victims of your parenting, okay? So don't victim shame. They're just victims of you. That's the way I look at it. That's the way when I was working with kids, that's the way I looked at it. They weren't even my kids. If they acted out under my care, they were a victim of my leadership. I had to get better at it, okay? That's the way you do it. You can only control yourself anyway. And they are drawn to a leader. Children will follow you around. They'll want to please you when you're a good leader because you make them feel good about themselves. Does anyone ever made you feel great about yourself and brought out the best in you? How do you treat that person? That's all I'm teaching here. You don't want obedient little soldiers. You want kids who are problem solvers. They have a lot of confidence. They like themselves. They have high self-esteem. That's what we're after here. They're self-disciplined, right? They make good choices. And if they make a bad one, then they're happy to be accountable for it. Sorry, I made a mistake. Here's what I'll do. Here's a consequence for me. That's what you're after here. Also, if you're going to take advice from someone, there's, like I always say, there's this criteria. Because parenting is such an important job. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you shouldn't be teaching it. Like, you got to have finished the job with your own kids. How can you teach parenting if you haven't lived with teenagers and seen them right through to adulthood? They have to have finished the job. The second one is you can't just have worked with your own kids, because how could you have dealt with everything? You might just have had super easy kids, My kids were pretty easy. They didn't provide me with many challenges. I was a leader, but they didn't start with many challenges to start with. Okay. I learned all this for all the kids I worked with, the teenagers. It's all those kids. The third one is that you have to have found parenting easy. If you struggle through parenting, don't teach it. Don't listen to someone who struggled through parenting. If they didn't find it easy, why on earth would you take their advice, right? So it frustrates me when those three things aren't met and people are teaching it, because it's such an important thing. You got to have those skills under your belt. So yeah, there's lots of people out there, I'm sure, with all those skills too. I'm not the only one out there. Lots of people out there. But be careful who you follow, because there's a lot of well-meant, but maybe not the best advice out there. Parents tell me that. I don't see it. I don't look for it. I've never looked for, pardon me, I was going to sneeze. I don't look for it, but parents tell me this. So I've been getting these surprise sneezes. You just sneeze, you don't even see it coming. I did one the other day at the gym. It's quite embarrassing. Okay. Tips for getting better as a leader. Just keep following. Listen to the podcast. There's more in-depth answers in the podcast. That's what I think it sort of helps a little bit more than just these lives. These lives are more just sort of snippets. Okay, this is a good question. And I've been asked this before. What age should a child show empathy, or does a child show empathy? They don't always show it, but they have the ability to have it by 3 years and 9 months. That's when they have the ability to start having empathy. It doesn't mean that their actions are going to show it, but they can actually empathize with other people. That's when they understand they're not the only people in this world. Other people have feelings too. Doesn't mean that they're going to really get it, but they have the ability to learn it. You can't really teach it. I think some kids just naturally have more empathy. It's like some adults have more empathy, and they actually show it. But children, as a rule, are narcissistic. It's all me, 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 me. It's just more because they're growing, and it's just a natural thing that you're just thinking about yourself when you're a kid. That's completely normal, okay, for a kid to be like that. And but yeah, and they can still have empathy, but it doesn't mean they're going to act on it. What age should we start disciplining? Good question. You start teaching them right from wrong from about 9, 10 months. Like if they hit, you just take their hand and you say no, and then you distract and redirect. Okay. So you're just teaching them right from wrong. And that goes to about 15, 16 months. Okay. And then at 16 months, that's when you start correcting bad behavior. So you might say no, and then you put them down. So there's an instant reaction. So you say no and put them down, or no when you take a toy away if they hit with a toy. So you're starting to correct the bad behavior. So that's sort of how it goes. You're not redirecting, you're just correcting. So it's redirecting up to about 15 months, then 16 months you're starting to correct. It's a bit of a gray area in there. But yeah, and you never say no to a baby. A baby up to about 15 months to me is a baby. You never say no and that makes them cry. You just do it like this, say no, and then you see. You don't want to make them cry, because they're learning right from wrong. They don't know it yet. Okay, sorry, but I have to get going now. Okay, thanks so much for joining me. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on my website, it's BratBusters.com. You can get my free behavior board. My courses, I have 2 of them, boot camp courses, one for toddlers, one for older kids. You can look into coaching one-on-one with me. I do have a big wait list, but I'll get to it eventually. Or you can listen to our podcast. It's called BratBusters Parenting Podcast. It's on all the platforms, and you can watch it on YouTube if you want to see us. My daughter and I do it together because we work together. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again when I have time. Happy parenting. Oops. TikTok's always got something going on.